On a chilly evening in the quiet town of Oak Ridge, Evelyn Hartman, affectionately known as Grandma Evelyn to the townsfolk, was taking out the trash. The day had been long, filled with baking pies and knitting sweaters for her grandchildren. As she approached the dumpster behind her house, she heard a faint, peculiar sound, almost like a whimper. Evelyn paused, her heart quickening. She cautiously lifted the lid of the dumpster, and to her astonishment, nestled among the refuse was a small, strange-looking creature. It had large, luminous eyes and smooth bluish skin, covered partially by a tattered blanket. "Oh my goodness!" Evelyn gasped, her maternal instincts kicking in. She gently lifted the baby alien from the dumpster, wrapping it in her shawl to shield it from the cold. The baby stared up at her with wide, curious eyes, and Evelyn felt an immediate connection. "What are you doing here, little one?" she whispered, her heart aching at the sight of the abandoned infant. She cradled the baby close and hurried back into her warm kitchen, her mind racing with questions and concern. Evelyn placed the baby on her kitchen table, carefully unwrapping the shawl to get a better look. Despite its unusual appearance, the baby seemed fragile and helpless, just like any human infant. Evelyn knew she couldn't leave it to fend for itself. "I'll call you Benny," she murmured, remembering her late husband's suggestion for a grandchild's name they never had. "Welcome to the family." Over the next few days, Evelyn sought advice from her friend Dr. Carroll, a retired pediatrician. Without revealing Benny's true nature, she asked for help on how to care for a foundling with peculiar needs. Dr. Carroll provided guidance on feeding and basic care, and with Evelyn's nurturing, Benny began to thrive. Evelyn quickly adapted her routine to accommodate Benny's unique needs. She discovered that he had a voracious appetite and an extraordinary rate of growth. Within weeks, Benny was not only physically stronger but also remarkably intelligent, mimicking her words and actions with ease. One evening, as they sat together in the living room, Benny reached out and touched Evelyn's face, his eyes filled with trust. "Grandma," he said, his first word. Evelyn's heart melted. "You're a special one, Benny," she whispered, hugging him tightly. "But we must keep your specialness a secret. People might not understand." Benny nodded, his bright eyes reflecting the warmth of Evelyn's love. As days turned into weeks, Evelyn marveled at Benny's rapid development and extraordinary abilities. She knew that raising him would be a challenge, but she was determined to protect and nurture the little alien she had come to love as her own. As Benny grew, Evelyn quickly realized he was not just any ordinary child. His rapid development continued to astound her. By the time Benny was a few months old, he had the cognitive abilities of a 5-year-old and could communicate fluently. Evelyn decided to homeschool Benny, teaching him reading, writing, and arithmetic, along with valuable lessons about human society and behavior. Benny absorbed information like a sponge, showing a keen interest in everything around him. One day, while Evelyn was teaching Benny how to read a clock, he stared at the hands and said, "Time is a fascinating concept, Grandma. It's different where I come from." Evelyn paused, looking at him curiously. "Where do you come from, Benny?" Benny hesitated before pointing upwards. "The stars. My home is far away, but I don't remember much about it." Evelyn's heart ached for Benny. "Well, you're here now, and this is your home too. Remember, Benny, you must keep your abilities a secret. People might not understand." Benny nodded solemnly. "I will, Grandma. I promise." When Benny turned 5, Evelyn realized he needed to interact with other children his age. Despite her reservations, she decided to enroll him in the local elementary school. The night before his first day, she sat Benny down for a serious talk. "Benny, tomorrow you'll be going to school with other kids. It's important that you fit in and not draw too much attention to yourself. If you ever feel scared or confused, come to me." Benny looked up at her, his eyes full of trust and determination. "I understand, Grandma. I'll do my best." The next morning, Evelyn walked Benny to the bus stop, holding his hand tightly. She watched nervously as he boarded the bus and waved goodbye. Throughout the day, she couldn't shake the feeling of anxiety, wondering how Benny was adapting. When Benny returned home that afternoon, he was full of excitement. "Grandma, I made a friend. His name is Sam. He's really nice." Evelyn smiled, relieved. "That's wonderful, Benny. I'm glad you had a good day." Benny continued to excel at school, quickly becoming popular among his classmates for his kindness and intelligence. He formed a close bond with Sam, who was fascinated by Benny's unusual abilities, though Benny was careful not to reveal too much. One day, during recess, Sam noticed Benny lifting a heavy rock effortlessly while they were playing in the yard. "Wow, Benny, you're really strong," Benny smiled, putting the rock down gently. "Just a trick I learned," he said, trying to brush it off. Sam, intrigued but loyal, accepted the explanation. "You're amazing, Benny. Let's go play on the swings." As Benny and Sam ran off to the playground, Evelyn watched from a distance, feeling a mixture of pride and worry. She knew Benny's journey was just beginning, and that their bond would be tested in ways they couldn't yet imagine. But for now, she was grateful for the small moments of happiness and normalcy they shared. As Benny continued to excel at school, his friendship with Sam deepened. They became inseparable, sharing adventures and secrets. Benny's unique abilities remained a closely guarded secret, known only to Evelyn. One afternoon, Sam invited Benny to his house to play video games. As they sat in Sam's room, immersed in a racing game, Sam suddenly turned to Benny with a serious look. "Benny, do you ever feel different from everyone else?" Benny hesitated, thinking of Evelyn's warning. "Sometimes," he admitted, "but I think being different can be a good thing." Sam nodded thoughtfully. "Yeah, you're right. My mom says everyone has something special about them. What's your special thing, Benny?" Benny smiled, grateful for his friend's acceptance. "I guess my special thing is being a good friend." Sam grinned. "Well, you're definitely the best friend I've ever had." Their bond grew stronger, and Benny felt more confident about his place in the world. However, he was always careful to keep his powers hidden, understanding the potential danger of exposure. As Benny continued to grow, his powers became more pronounced. He discovered he could heal minor injuries and manipulate objects with his mind. Evelyn helped him practice control, emphasizing the importance of secrecy. One evening, Evelyn accidentally cut her finger while chopping vegetables. Benny rushed over, placing his hand over the cut. A warm, blue light emanated from his palm, and the wound closed instantly. Evelyn looked at her healed finger in amazement. "Benny, that's incredible, but you must be very careful. Healing like this is a gift, but it could also bring unwanted attention." Benny nodded solemnly. "I understand, Grandma. I'll only use it when absolutely necessary." Despite their efforts to keep Benny's abilities hidden, he sometimes found it hard to blend in completely. During a school science fair, Benny's project on renewable energy sources garnered significant attention due to its advanced concepts. While the teachers were impressed, some of his classmates were suspicious. One evening, as Benny and Sam were walking home from school, Sam asked, "Benny, how do you know so much about science? It's like you're from another world or something." Benny hesitated, but then decided to confide a little in his friend. "I read a lot, and I have a great teacher," he said, thinking of Evelyn. Sam smiled. "Well, whatever it is, it's pretty cool. Just don't forget us little guys when you become a famous scientist." Benny laughed, relieved that Sam didn't press further. "I won't, Sam, promise." However, the very next day, Benny and Sam were playing in the woods behind the school. Benny, focused on showing Sam a trick with his mind, accidentally levitated a large rock without realizing someone was watching from afar. Unbeknownst to them, Agent Turner, who had been investigating unusual phenomena in the area, observed Benny's display of telekinesis. Turner's eyes narrowed with determination. "I've found you," he muttered, already planning his next move. Back at home, Benny was unaware of the looming threat. He was simply enjoying his time with Sam and the peaceful life he had built with Evelyn. Little did he know, his powers and the attention they attracted would soon bring significant changes to his life. As Benny's abilities grew, so did the danger. A mysterious man named Agent Turner arrived in Oak Ridge, claiming to investigate unusual phenomena. He questioned the townspeople, including Evelyn, raising her suspicions. "Have you noticed anything strange lately?" Turner asked Evelyn one afternoon as she was tending to her garden. Evelyn kept her composure. "Strange? Oak Ridge is a quiet town, Agent Turner. Nothing out of the ordinary here." Turner narrowed his eyes slightly. but he didn't press further. "If you do notice anything unusual, please let me know." Evelyn nodded, her heart pounding as Turner walked away. She knew they had to be more careful than ever. That evening, Evelyn discussed the situation with Benny. "Grandma, do you think he's looking for me?" Benny asked, worried. Evelyn hugged him tightly. "We won't let anyone take you away, Benny. We'll be careful. Remember, always stay out of sight when you're using your powers." One afternoon, Benny and Sam were playing in the woods, enjoying their time away from the watchful eyes of adults. Benny, feeling particularly confident, decided to show Sam a new trick he had been practicing. He concentrated and lifted a large rock effortlessly with his telekinetic powers. Sam's eyes widened in awe. "Benny, that's incredible. But we have to be careful. What if someone sees?" Benny nodded, realizing his mistake. "You're right. We have to keep it a secret." Unbeknownst to them, Agent Turner had been observing from a distance. His suspicions were confirmed, and he began to devise a plan to capture Benny. The next day, Turner intensified his efforts, placing surveillance around Evelyn's home. Evelyn noticed the unusual activity and warned Benny to stay close. One night, while walking home from a school event, Benny sensed danger. He urged Evelyn to take a different route. Moments later, they saw Turner's agents searching the streets. "We need to leave, Grandma," Benny said urgently. "It's not safe here anymore." Evelyn agreed, her heart heavy with worry. They packed their belongings and left Oak Ridge under cover of darkness, moving from town to town, always staying one step ahead of Turner's agents. Along the way, Benny continued to learn and grow, developing new abilities and understanding his origins, all while maintaining their secrecy. As they traveled, Evelyn did her best to maintain a sense of normalcy for Benny, homeschooling him and ensuring he had moments of joy and discovery despite their precarious situation. Benny's bond with Evelyn grew stronger, and he became more determined to protect her and proved that he could use his powers for good. The journey was long and filled with challenges, but Evelyn and Benny faced them together, their love and resilience guiding them through the darkest times. After months on the run, Evelyn and Benny found refuge in a secluded cabin owned by Evelyn's old friend, Harold. Harold, a retired scientist, had moved to the remote location years ago to escape the hustle and bustle of city life. When Evelyn explained their situation, Harold was fascinated by Benny's abilities and offered to help them. "You're safe here," Harold assured them as they settled into the cabin. "I've got the place rigged with all sorts of security measures. No one will find you." Evelyn sighed with relief. "Thank you, Harold. We've been running for so long, it's good to finally feel safe." Harold, always the scientist, couldn't help but be intrigued by Benny. "I'd love to help Benny learn more about his abilities," he said. "Maybe we can even find a way to understand where he came from." Evelyn was hesitant at first, but trusted Harold. "As long as it's safe for Benny, I'm okay with that." Benny was excited about the prospect of learning more about himself. He quickly bonded with Harold, who became a mentor and friend. Despite their efforts to remain hidden, Agent Turner had not given up his pursuit. Using advanced tracking technology, he finally located the remote cabin. One evening, as Benny was practicing his abilities with Harold in the basement, Evelyn noticed unusual activity on the security monitors. "Harold, we have company," she called down. "It's Turner." Harold's face grew serious. "Benny, stay here. Evelyn, let's see if we can reason with him." They emerged from the basement to find Turner and his agents surrounding the cabin. Turner stepped forward, his expression cold and determined. "Hand over the alien, Evelyn. You're harboring a dangerous entity." Evelyn stood her ground. "Benny is not dangerous. He's just a child." Turner's eyes narrowed. "He's a threat to national security. Step aside." Harold intervened, trying to appeal to Turner's humanity. "Agent Turner, Benny is a living being with emotions and a soul. He's no threat. He just wants to live a normal life." Turner's resolve wavered for a moment, but then he drew his weapon. "Step aside, or I'll have to use force." Inside the cabin, Benny sensed the confrontation. He knew he couldn't let his family get hurt. Summoning his courage, he stepped out onto the porch, his eyes glowing with determination. "Leave them alone," Benny said, his voice steady despite his fear. Turner was taken aback by Benny's bravery. "You don't understand, Benny. You're too powerful. You need to be controlled." Benny shook his head. "I'm not a weapon. I'm a person, just like you." Turner's agents hesitated, seeing the sincerity in Benny's eyes. Sensing their doubt, Benny decided to reveal the full extent of his powers. He projected a vision into their minds, showing his home planet and the beauty of its people, their peaceful lives disrupted by fear and misunderstanding. The vision had a profound effect on Turner's agents. Many began to lower their weapons, realizing the ethical implications of capturing Benny. Some even turned against Turner, siding with Evelyn and Benny. Amidst the chaos, Turner attempted to seize Benny, but Benny's powers surged, creating a force field that repelled him. The agents, now divided, struggled to regain control. Seeing the opportunity, Evelyn, Benny, and Harold made their escape, aided by the sympathetic agents. They fled deeper into the wilderness, seeking a new place to hide and regroup. Turner, now isolated and without support, realized his mission had failed. He retreated, vowing to return another day. After fleeing deeper into the wilderness, Evelyn, Benny, and Harold moved cautiously, making their way through dense forests and rugged terrain. They eventually found a hidden valley that offered a natural sanctuary, far from any roads or towns. It was a place Harold had discovered years ago, and it was perfect for their needs. "We'll be safe here," Harold said, setting up a makeshift camp, "at least for a while." Evelyn nodded, exhausted but relieved. "We need to stay hidden until we figure out our next move." Benny looked around the valley, feeling a sense of peace despite the recent turmoil. "Thank you for protecting me, Grandma. I'll do whatever it takes to keep us safe." Evelyn hugged him tightly. "We'll get through this, Benny. Together." As they settled into their new home, Harold began setting up advanced security systems and communication devices to keep them connected to their allies and stay ahead of any potential threats. In the tranquil valley, Evelyn, Benny, and Harold began to rebuild their lives. They constructed a more permanent shelter and cultivated a small garden for food. The peaceful environment allowed them to focus on Benny's education and training without the constant fear of being discovered. Benny, now a teenager, had grown into a remarkable young man with a deep sense of responsibility and compassion. He continued to practice and refine his abilities, with Harold and Evelyn providing guidance and support. One day, while exploring the valley, Benny discovered a small abandoned cottage. With Harold's help, they restored it, creating a safe and comfortable home where they could live without fear. Evelyn and Harold did their best to give Benny a normal life. They celebrated birthdays, holidays, and small moments of joy. Despite the challenges they faced, they were a family, bound by love and resilience. Benny's actions began to inspire others. Small communities that had encountered him started to tell stories of a mysterious boy with extraordinary abilities who helped them in times of crisis. The tales of his kindness and bravery spread, creating a network of support and protection. Evelyn and Harold realized that Benny's legacy was growing. They decided to create a network of trusted allies who could support and protect Benny's mission. They called it the Guardians of the Valley, a secret group dedicated to ensuring the safety and well-being of those with special abilities. "We can't hide forever, Benny," Evelyn said one evening as they sat by the fire, "but we can build something that lasts. Your gifts are meant to be shared, but with great care and wisdom." Benny nodded, understanding the gravity of their decision. "I'll be careful, Grandma, and I'll always remember what you and Harold taught me." Years passed, and Benny's influence quietly spread. He became a symbol of hope and change, a beacon for those who believed in a better, more compassionate world. Evelyn, now in her twilight years, looked at Benny with pride. "You've grown into an incredible person, Benny. Your journey is just beginning." Benny hugged his grandmother, his eyes filled with gratitude and love. "I couldn't have done it without you, Grandma. You've given me everything." As they looked out over the valley, they knew that their story was far from over. Benny's journey would continue, guided by the lessons and love imparted by his grandmother. Together, they had created a legacy that would endure, a testament to the power of compassion and the strength of the human spirit. With the guardians of the valley by their side, they were ready to face whatever challenges lay ahead. confident in their ability to protect each other and build a brighter future. With the Guardians of the Valley established, Benny, Evelyn, and Harold focused on expanding their network and ensuring its effectiveness. They began to reach out to other communities that had encountered extraordinary individuals, offering support and guidance. One evening, Harold returned from a scouting mission with promising news. "I found a group of people living in the mountains a few miles away. They have a young girl with abilities similar to Benny's. Her name is Lila, and her parents are desperate for help." Evelyn nodded. "We should invite them to join us. The more we can gather, the stronger we'll be." Benny agreed. "I'll go with you, Harold. We can explain our mission and offer them a safe place to stay." The next day, Benny and Harold made their way to the mountain community. They were welcomed cautiously but warmly by Lila's parents, who were relieved to find others who understood their situation. Lila, a shy girl with the ability to manipulate water, was initially hesitant to trust strangers. But Benny's gentle demeanor and shared experiences soon put her at ease. "You can come with us," Benny said, his voice reassuring. "We've created a safe haven where you can learn to control your powers and be part of a family." Lila's parents agreed, and the group made their way back to the valley. With each new member, the Guardians of the Valley grew stronger, and their collective knowledge and abilities expanded. Despite the peaceful growth of the Guardians, Agent Turner's obsession with capturing Benny had not waned. From his remote headquarters, he continued to track rumors of extraordinary individuals, determined to locate Benny and harness his powers. Turner's relentless pursuit led him to the outskirts of the valley. His surveillance drones captured images of Benny and the other gifted individuals, confirming their presence. Turner immediately began formulating a plan to capture them. One evening, while Benny and Lila were practicing their abilities by the river, Evelyn noticed unusual activity on the security monitors. "Harold, come quick. I think Turner's found us." Harold rushed over and analyzed the data. "It's him, all right. We need to prepare." Evelyn gathered the Guardians, explaining the situation. "We've trained for this. We need to stay calm and use our abilities wisely. Our priority is to protect each other and prevent Turner from capturing any of us." The Guardians fortified their defenses, setting traps and barriers around the valley. Benny and Lila used their powers to create natural obstacles, making it difficult for Turner's agents to navigate the terrain. As night fell, Turner and his team approached the valley, unaware of the preparations made by the Guardians. They encountered the first line of defense, a series of concealed trenches filled with water, manipulated by Lila to create a formidable barrier. Turner's agents struggled to cross, giving the Guardians time to launch their counterattack. Benny and the others used their abilities strategically, disorienting and incapacitating the intruders without causing permanent harm. In the midst of the chaos, Turner managed to break through the defenses and confronted Benny directly. "You can't hide forever, Benny. Your powers belong to us." Benny stood his ground, his eyes glowing with determination. "I'm not a tool for you to use, Turner. I'm here to protect my family and friends." Turner lunged at Benny, but before he could make contact, Lila intervened, using her water manipulation to encase Turner in a sphere of water, immobilizing him. Benny quickly created a force field around them, ensuring Turner couldn't escape. Evelyn approached, her voice calm but firm. "It's over, Turner. You've lost. The authorities will deal with you now." With Turner captured, the Guardians secured the area and called the local authorities, who had been alerted to Turner's illegal activities. Turner was taken into custody and his operation dismantled. As the dawn broke over the valley, the Guardians gathered, exhausted but victorious. Benny looked around at his friends and family, feeling a deep sense of pride and gratitude. "We did it. We protected our home and each other." Evelyn hugged him tightly. "We're stronger together, Benny, and as long as we stand united, we can face anything." The threat of Turner had been neutralized, but the Guardians knew they must remain vigilant. They had proven their strength and resilience, and their bond had only grown stronger. With their network secure and their mission clear, they looked forward to a future where they could continue to protect and support those in need, united by their shared commitment to compassion and justice. With Agent Turner neutralized and his operation dismantled, the Guardians of the Valley turned their attention to rebuilding and healing. The aftermath of the confrontation had left the valley in disarray, but the sense of victory and unity among the Guardians was strong. Evelyn, Benny, Harold, and the rest of the Guardians worked tirelessly to restore their sanctuary. They repaired damaged structures, reinforced their defenses, and expanded their garden to ensure a sustainable food supply. One afternoon, as Benny and Lila were repairing a fence, Lila spoke up. "Benny, do you think there will be more people like Turner out there?" Benny paused, considering her question. "Maybe, Lila, but we'll be ready. We've shown that we can protect each other and stand up to those who want to harm us." Lila smiled, feeling reassured. "I'm glad we have you to lead us, Benny." Benny felt a surge of responsibility and pride. "We're all leaders here, Lila. We support each other, and that's what makes us strong." Harold, meanwhile, used his scientific expertise to enhance their security systems and improve the valley's infrastructure. He also began documenting Benny and Lila's abilities, hoping to understand them better and find ways to help them develop their powers safely. Evelyn focused on providing emotional support and guidance, ensuring that everyone felt valued and heard. She organized group meetings where the Guardians could share their thoughts and concerns, fostering a sense of community and trust. As the Guardians settled back into their routine, they received troubling news from one of their allies in a nearby town. Reports of a new threat had surfaced, an underground organization called the Syndicate, dedicated to capturing and exploiting individuals with extraordinary abilities for profit. Benny gathered the Guardians to discuss the situation. "We've faced threats before, but the Syndicate is different. They're organized and ruthless. We need to be prepared." Harold nodded. "We should enhance our network and establish safe houses in nearby towns. We can't let the Syndicate find us or anyone else with abilities." Lila, eager to help, suggested, "We could use our powers to gather information about the Syndicate, find out who they are and what their plans might be." The Guardians agreed, and over the next few weeks, they worked tirelessly to expand their network and gather intelligence. Benny and Lila, using their abilities discreetly, infiltrated the Syndicate's communications and learned about their operations. One evening, as they were reviewing the information they had gathered, Benny's expression grew serious. "They're planning a major operation to capture multiple gifted individuals. We have to stop them." Evelyn placed a reassuring hand on Benny's shoulder. "We've stopped threats before, Benny. We can do it again." The Guardians devised a plan to intercept the Syndicate and protect the targeted individuals. They coordinated with their allies, ensuring that everyone knew their role and what to expect. On the night of the planned operation, the Guardians and their allies moved swiftly. They intercepted the Syndicate's agents at key locations, using their abilities to disarm and incapacitate them without causing permanent harm. Benny and Lila, leading one of the teams, encountered a group of Syndicate operatives attempting to capture a young boy with telekinetic abilities. Benny stepped forward, his eyes glowing with determination. "Leave him alone." The leader of the operatives sneered. "You're just a kid. What can you do?" Benny's response was swift and decisive. He used his telekinesis to disarm the operatives, while Lila created a barrier of water to protect the boy. The operatives, realizing they were outmatched, retreated. With the Syndicate's operation thwarted, the Guardians ensured that all the targeted individuals were safe and brought them to the valley. The new members were welcomed warmly, and the Guardians continued to grow stronger. As they gathered around the campfire that night, Evelyn addressed the group. "We've faced another threat and emerged victorious, but our work is far from over. We must remain vigilant and continue to protect each other." Benny looked around at his friends and family, feeling a deep sense of pride and unity. "We've shown that together we can face any challenge. We'll keep building our community and protecting those who need us." The Guardians, united by their shared commitment to compassion and justice, knew that they would continue to face challenges. But they also knew that as long as they stood together, they could overcome anything. With their bond stronger than ever, they looked forward to a future where they could continue to make a difference, one step at a time. With the immediate threat of the Syndicate thwarted, the Guardians of the Valley turned their attention to strengthening their community and fortifying their defenses. The new members, grateful for their rescue, quickly integrated into the group, bringing new skills and perspectives. Benny took on a leadership role, organizing regular training sessions where everyone could practice their abilities and learn to work together. These sessions not only improved their skills, but also fostered a sense of camaraderie and trust. One afternoon, while Benny and Lila were practicing their powers by the river, they were joined by a young boy named Max, one of the new arrivals. Max had the ability to manipulate earth and stone. "Can I join you?" Max asked shyly. "Of course," Benny replied with a warm smile. "We'd love to have you." As they trained together, Benny noticed how Max's abilities complemented his and Lila's. They began to experiment with combining their powers, creating intricate displays of water, earth, and telekinesis. Later that evening, as they gathered around the campfire, Evelyn spoke to the group. "I've been thinking about our future. We need to not only defend ourselves, but also build a legacy. We should document our abilities, our experiences, and our knowledge. This way, future generations will be able to learn from us." Harold nodded in agreement. "That's a great idea, Evelyn. We can create a comprehensive archive, a living library of sorts." The group embraced the idea, and they began to work on the archive, recording their stories, abilities, and the lessons they had learned. This project brought them even closer together, reinforcing their sense of purpose and unity. As the months passed, the Guardians continued to thrive. Their network expanded, and their reputation as protectors and allies grew. They established safe houses in nearby towns and maintained constant vigilance against any new threats. One day, Benny received an urgent message from an ally in a distant city. A new faction had emerged, seeking to exploit individuals with abilities for their own gain. This group, calling themselves the Conclave, was rumored to be even more dangerous and organized than the Syndicate. Benny called an emergency meeting of the Guardians. "We've faced threats before, but the Conclave is different. They're well-funded and ruthless. We need to be prepared." Lila, now a confident and skilled member of the group, spoke up. "We should gather as much information as we can about them, find out their weaknesses, and use them to our advantage." Harold added, "We should also strengthen our alliances, reach out to other groups and offer our support. United, we stand a better chance." Evelyn looked around the room, seeing the determination in everyone's eyes. "We've built something incredible here, and we'll protect it no matter what." The Guardians set to work, using their network to gather intelligence on the Conclave. Benny and Lila led a team to infiltrate the Conclave's ranks, posing as recruits to learn their plans and gather critical information. During one of their covert operations, Benny discovered that the Conclave was planning a large-scale attack on a major city, intending to capture dozens of individuals with abilities. Realizing the urgency, he quickly relayed the information back to the valley. "We have to stop them," Benny said, his voice filled with resolve. "If they succeed, countless lives will be ruined." The Guardians mobilized their forces, coordinating with their allies to thwart the Conclave's plans. They set up ambushes, created diversions, and used their abilities to protect the targeted individuals. On the day of the planned attack, the Guardians and their allies were ready. As the Conclave's forces moved in, they were met with fierce resistance. Benny, Lila, Max, and the others fought valiantly, using their combined powers to outmaneuver and incapacitate their enemies. In the midst of the battle, Benny confronted the leader of the Conclave, a ruthless man named Darien. "This ends now, Darien. We won't let you exploit anyone else." Darien sneered. "You're just a child. You can't stop us." But Benny, with the support of his friends, proved him wrong. Using their abilities in perfect harmony, they overwhelmed Darien and his forces, capturing them and ensuring they would no longer pose a threat. As the dust settled, Benny looked around at his friends and allies. "We did it. We protected our home and each other." Evelyn, watching proudly, hugged Benny tightly. "You've grown into a true leader, Benny. I'm so proud of you." With the Conclave defeated, the Guardians returned to the valley, knowing that their journey was far from over. They had faced many challenges and would undoubtedly face more in the future, But they also knew that as long as they stood together, they could overcome anything. The Guardians of the Valley had become a symbol of hope and resilience, a beacon for those who believed in a better, more compassionate world. And with their bond stronger than ever, they looked forward to a future where they could continue to protect and support those in need, united by their shared commitment to compassion and justice.